Each day, more and more people are listening to music on Spotify, and that's also true for podcasts. Next time you're on the Spotify app, make sure to follow Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond. Enjoy listening to Lou, his incredible guests, and all of the amazing episodes. Listen, follow, and share. Thrive Loud on Spotify.
Hey, Llama. Hey, how about a little something, for the effort, And he says, there won't be any money, but when you die, on your deathbed, you will receive total consciousness and a chance to listen to Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond. So I got that going for me, which is nice.
Get ready to Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond.
Welcome, everyone, to another special episode of Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond, connecting into the most inspiring and amazing people that are thriving each and every day. I'm your host, Lou Diamond. If you're watching here on Thrive Loud Live, you can see it right here. You can see me right here. If you're listening on the radio show, we don't have a radio show. We have a podcast show, but sometimes it's on radio stations. It's very confusing. But those that want to know this, we have amazing guests that are thriving each and every day. And today would not only be right in the norm of what we have. We've got somebody that has actually been on the program before, has all of the great things that you love about this show because he's a speaker, he's an author, he's spiritual, he's an inspiring individual, just wrote a book. We're going to talk about it, and it hits the ball a little bit further than I do. And now we're going to learn he hits the ball a lot farther than most of us based on where he is. Thrive Loud listeners, please welcome and joining me back to the show, Thane Marcus Ringler. Thane, how are you today, my friend? How is everything with you?
Things are going well, Lou. Thanks for having me back on. It's fun to share another conversation with you, as always, trying to encourage and inspire one another, and then hopefully whoever tunes in. So I'm just grateful to be here with you.
So the listeners need to know that the last time I spoke to Thane had a bunch of things going on. So he was living in California. He was talking about his message. He had just gotten his podcast show going. And there's been a lot of changes since then. Thane, why don't you bring everybody up to speed? What's going on with you now? What's been happening? 2020 has been a busy year for you in a different way probably than you ever imagined.
I could never have imagined this. About a year ago, I met a woman who is now my wife, and that was a big change. So in March, I ended up getting married and moving to Denver from LA in the midst of kind of the beginning of a pandemic, which is something that, maybe I wouldn't highly recommend, but it was great timing in the sense that we got to spend a lot of quality time together. So that's been the biggest and bestest of all changes thus far.
Well, congratulations to you. That's exciting stuff. I want to kind of understand a little bit, though, about, so you moved. What's that been like? Have you been adjusting?
Yes. So the first couple months, it was whooping my butt in workouts. I was always out of breath. Like, altitude's no joke. So it's taken me a bit, but now I feel pretty comfortable at it to where when I go other places like Kansas, where I'm from, I actually feel like I'm in great shape. So that's kind of fun. But otherwise, I love it here. I'm really grateful. I grew up in Kansas. I was out in LA for about 10 years. So this feels kind of like more of a homecoming for me. It's figuratively and literally between California and Kansas. So I think the type of people, the perspectives are much more in the middle. And it just feels great to be here and to be with my wife. And so it's been an adjustment like it has for all of us. The nature of COVID is adjusting and finding a way to make it work. And we're all in that together. So I'm not immune to that. And it's been a fun process. I feel like I've gotten really good at change, which is a really great thing to be good at. So adapting and being comfortable with the ever-changing environment is something that is helpful for humans to do.
So let's briefly talk about one of the changes, and that was you put out a book, and it's coming out very soon. Share with the listeners a little bit about what it's about and why you've picked this topic. Help our listeners understand this new, exciting thing, a new addition in your life, if you will.
Totally. Yeah. Last time I came on, I had my first book come out, and that was just such a fun process. It was really long and hard and challenging, but I was so grateful for it. And I knew that I always wanted to keep writing. And so this year, as I've been thinking about what else I wanted to add on with what I was doing, I felt like God was giving me the space to create this next work. And that turned into a book titled Catalyst for Hope, Unlocking Energy, Optimism, and Your Full Potential. And really, I believe more than ever before right now, we need hope. So often, if you watch the news, any major media outlet, or consume social media, you are often filled with despair and hopelessness. And so my goal with this book is to, how do we unlock more of that hope fuel that can really lead to energy, optimism, and your full potential in life? And it's simply 4 perspectives, 4 catalysts that I think can do that. And through the book, it helps us understand that these perspectives can give us the fuel to live with hope. And that's what's going to lead to others living with hope too. And right now, living in this divided time, I think it's easy to lose sight of that. And so to take individual ownership of that and then to spur others on is really the goal of this book.
You have fun writing it, or was it a challenge, or was it all laid out for you? I always love asking authors this question. Like, did it just come really fluidly, or was it one of those things where it was like literally a work of labor?
It's always a little bit of both, right? I mean, there's times where you're in the zone and it's flowing and you're like, this is amazing, I can't wait. And then there's times where you're like, I don't want to do this. I'm banging my head against the wall over here. So there's both in any journey, and especially in a book. For me, I've been doing a couple different series on my blog, and one of them was on hope. So I already had some material to go off of. I had a start already. So I kind of used that to continue to inspire and influence my work with that. And then just took time with it and sat with it and really just try to intuit what would be most helpful for others, but also what's most true from my experience. And I think that's generally what my process is in writing.
Sometimes when you're writing, you think of, you're talking to the listener, the reader. Did you have a visual of who that reader is? Is that person that you're trying to connect with just every Joe, every run-of-the-mill Joe, or was it someone more of an entrepreneur, a business person, or somebody maybe trying to figure things out? Who was the target that you were going after?
The target is people like me. So people in their 20s or 30s, people that are striving to live intentional lives, striving to not just coast for the status quo, not just settle for what everyone else is doing, but really want to make a difference with their lives and in the world. Because I really believe if we can make a difference in our own life, if we can lead ourselves well, then we can begin to lead others well. And we need more leaders, which means we need more self-leaders. And so this book is really geared towards people who are self-leaders on that journey of leadership. Working on themselves first so that they can hopefully benefit and improve others throughout their lives.
I'm still laughing because when you said people like me, I'm like, people with really good hair. This is something that, look at all these curls he's got going on here.
Man.
So this is interesting because I'm going to dive into this just a little bit because hope is interesting to me because you've probably heard the expression, hope is not a strategy. You ever heard this term? Or people like, you need to think about what you're doing and what's out there, but you have a different take on it. And we covered your passion and your beliefs when you were first on the program. For those that aren't as familiar, let's bring them up to speed a little bit, because I think you've got a different definition of hope than most people.
Totally. Yeah, I'm a man of faith, so I believe in a God, and I'm a Christian, so I follow Jesus, the way of Jesus. And really Jesus, the beautiful thing about Jesus, if you read the Bible and get familiar with his life and his stories, is that he lives in such an unconventional way. He flips every type of cultural norm on their head. He's blessed are the meek and the lowly, the poor in spirit. You're like, what the heck? What does that mean? He's saying that the kingdom of heaven is available for everyone, not just this elite class, not the people that are super religious or righteous. It's available here and now for everyone through my example, through my life, and through my work, is what Jesus is saying. And so I really believe that that's available for everyone and anyone, and then that is the most blessed form of life, because that's been my experience. I've lived life in both lanes, one that's for Jesus and one that's not for Jesus. And from my experience, I've learned that the one for Jesus is way more joy filled, way more hope filled, and has way more peace with it. And so I can only share from my own personal experience. And with that, I really do believe that we can unlock a lot of hope. And I think that, whether you believe in God or not, a lot of my work, a lot of what I do is just saying, hey, this is what I've learned from my life and experiences, but ultimately from God through his word and through his spirit. And I'm just trying to give it to you, whether or not you believe in a God or a higher power. I believe these ways are going to be best for you too.
I like how you, by the way, the hopeful and hopeless. I like the stress of how you broke that word up in each way. I like the interesting way that you tweaked the language a little bit. See, Thane, you're always keeping me on my toes. See, I'm listening with this. What I would love to learn was, so putting out a book, dealing with a new location, obviously getting married. These are a lot of changes in a time when change is really challenging, because if we're all, as you had a good expression, we're all adapting every single day. So what COVID makes us do, I guess. Is there something that you wish you were able to maybe enjoy more of, or with all the craziness going on, that you weren't able to because of the world we're currently in right now?
Yeah, we've all been impacted by it. The thing for me, moving to a new city, building a new life together with my wife as a family now, one of the things that I looked forward to most was developing community and relationships and forming those bonds and those experiences with people. And honestly, for about the first 4 or 5 months, we just couldn't do that. We weren't able to, which was a unique blessing in itself, in that we really got awesome time to build each other and our family together, which I know we're kind of go-getters to where we probably wouldn't have taken as much time for that. And so I'm really grateful that it worked out the way it has. But that was a thing that I was definitely a bit sad about, because God blessed me with such a sweet community in LA, and not being able to start that right away here was hard, and with things being shut down, and we first were in like 470 square feet apartment. So it was just, we didn't have much room to breathe in a lot of ways. So, I think that's a very common experience for most people in big cities. So we've all definitely been affected by it.
It would not be a catch-up episode with you if we didn't get to talk a little bit about the little white ball that we get to hit with a stick here, because for those listeners need to know, and they could read it on the online video piece here, obviously, you're a former golf professional, and you're a big fan of the game. You're now in a new altitude where you could hit the ball further than ever before, as I said in the opening. I wanted to talk about what's going on with golf and professional tour, because it's kind of surreal to the golf fan if you've been watching anything on television or any of the clips, because there's no fans. And so I wanted to get your take on it from two perspectives. One, as a spectator viewing what's going on in the golf, because I know you follow it. I know you keep your eye on it. And the other, because you have a little bit of a view from inside the ropes, what it must be like for them. So let's talk about, from you seeing golf the way it's being played right now, the way we're observing it, how quiet it is, the uniqueness, no one's shaking hands, they're fist bumping everywhere, whatever it is. Tell me your thoughts about your perception of golf on TV at the professional level right now.
Yeah. Well, first off, I'm really grateful that golf was the first sport to be back. I mean, It's just fun to watch, and we needed something to watch. And if any sport, let's make it golf. I think it made a lot of sense. So good move on them. It has been unique. I think you've seen guys take probably a month or so to really get adjusted, because it's so different from what they're used to. I think it definitely hurts some of the stress and pressure down the stretch that you see, and some of the dramatics that come from that. When you see the final few groupings and guys that are competing, or someone has a lead, it's a way different energy and feeling when there's hundreds and thousands of people versus just them. And so I think that lowers a little bit of the dramatics of what happens within the results. But the thing that I'm actually more interested in now is when they reintroduce the fans. I think that's going to be really fascinating, because there are guys, it's much easier to adjust to no fans than to readjust back to fans. And I think it'll be really interesting to see the guys that, and honestly, we probably won't be privy to it, because the guys that aren't performing well, you don't see as much on camera. So just watching the leaderboard and seeing who may be taking a while to readjust to the plethora of more distractions that are now available. And you've already seen some on the other hand, when there's not so many people around, the smaller things start distracting them more. So it could be like this animal or something, or just random noise that starts distracting them more than normal because they're just not used to it as much.
I thought it was really interesting. I'm going to give you 2 examples of things that I've watched because I follow it actively. One, I think the younger golfers, it's been a huge advantage to guys like Colin Morikawa, who won the PGA, who was amazing. Who, by the way, would be on his track to be winning one of these things anyway because he's just robotic. But it was really interesting because obviously the pressure of having all the crowds around and the cheers and then all the roars around a golf course are some of the things that might rattle or distract someone. I don't think it would rattle him because he can't get over how good he is.
Yeah.
But there was one particular one where I couldn't have imagined what the crowd sound was. Ironically, Colin and Justin Thomas battled at the end. And you remember they both missed the same type of putt, whatever it was. And had that been with an audience, the place would have just been, oh my God, like the size would have been incredible. But it was so surreal that it wasn't. It was actually probably even more damaging because it was like, damn it, everybody's.
Oh, yeah, that is just classic Lou, isn't it? Yeah, I'm talking right now because, well, they fucked up and they're trying to edit things out. Did you get it fixed? Excellent. Now, back to Lou Diamond.
There we go. Okay, we're back. Here we are. So for those that were curious, we just basically had a power outage here. It flickered. Power came back. I'm going to have to get like my own personal generator for the studio is what we're going to need to do. So we were talking golf. That's where we'll put this out.
Yes.
Probably more power and all this. So I was asking you, obviously we covered the whole thing, what it was what like from a viewing point of view. But as to your point, as we've now gone into it, it was the first sport to be back. We're now watching more of it. It's kind of enjoyable, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great. I don't know if you saw this last week's, but
I did.
Man, that would have been an electric finish. To talk about an electric finish, I mean, it even was electric with no one there, but it is just, it's a lot of fun.
Our listeners watching, Rahm sunk a 66-foot putt to win in extra holes against Dennis Johnson, which was great because they were still going to be 1-2 for the Tour Championship, which is being played this weekend. By the time this airs, we would have known who won already. So if we were a genius, we would know, but
Inception.
We don't. Exactly. We'd be able to flip the trick. Okay, so let's do this. Share with the listeners all the places people can find you, where they can get the book, get all that stuff. We will put it all in the show notes, however it always gets more engagement with you, and then we'll go down Fun Street. Sound like a plan?
Awesome.
Perfect.
Yeah, so the best place to go is thanemarcus.com. That's kind of my HQ for all that I do, my coaching practice, the podcast linked on there. The podcast is the upandcomershow.com if you wanted to go check that out. And then the other thing that I didn't mention is alongside the book coming out in this next month or two is 2 online courses, which I'm really excited about. And that's basically a way for people to go through the development process at a more affordable price point than one-on-one. And it's going to be focused on discipline for one of them and then creating self-awareness on the other. So I'm really excited about those and been in heavy content creation mode for that.
Prepare and are you ready to go down Fun Street?
Yes.
Marcus Ringler.
Okay. I believe so.
Okay, so the way this is going to work, we already asked you what your all-time favorite movie was and all that stuff the last time we were on. So now we're going to kind of have it like the speed round, if you would. It's kind of like the Family Feud. It just, I'm not nearly as charming as, their host. And I'm just going to ask a bunch of questions. And these are all the things that get you excited and make you thrive. Okay? A song that pumps you up or that you love to listen to.
Oh, man. Marshmello. Any song by Marshmello.
I like it. A favorite food that's not a dessert.
Sushi.
A favorite dessert.
Some like peach cobbler.
An activity you wish you did more of.
Meditate.
An activity you wish you did less of.
I would say even look at phone, and I feel like I do okay about it, but still less.
If you could snap your fingers and go anywhere, where are you?
I would say, since on golf term, playing Prairie Dunes Country Club in Hutchinson, Kansas.
I like it.
At sunset.
Thane Marcus Ringler. We caught up. We had a power outage. I think it was a higher power trying to test our abilities. But the new book is coming out, which I think is going to be awesome. Great to catch up with you, my friend. Our listeners, you got a great following. I love listening to your show. You got some inspiring conversations, and I'm even more excited to learn about the book. Now that you can get a free chapter right now in the window right now, but soon before the book comes out.
Totally. ThaneMarcus.com/hope, and you can get your free copy. So check it out.
Thane Marcus Ringler, you have patience like a man standing over a 66-foot putt, needing to make it when you need to. Great to catch up with you, my friend.
A lot of fun, Lou. Thanks for having me on again. Appreciate it.
And to all our listeners out there, thank you for joining us. And until next time, keep thriving onward and upward. And remember, be brief, be bright, be gone.
You've been listening to Thrive Loud with your host, Lou Diamond. Check us out on the web at thriveloud.com and follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook at Thrive Loud. And check us out on the Good Pods app at Thrive Loud, where you can follow, listen, and connect directly to Lou and all of the Thrive Loud episodes. Thanks for listening.